back to Casual Climbers, the podcast by and for beginning hikers. I'm your host, Donna Patrick, and alongside me is my husband and adventure buddy, Roy.
Hello, Donna.
Hello, Roy.
So in this podcast, we provide you with tips, tricks, and reviews of some of the many hiking trails here in the Blue Ridge area. Now, we may be unfit hikers, but we do love the outdoors, and we want to share our experiences with you. And in today's Trail Snacks episode, our shorter one, we discussed the Toccoa Swinging Bridge Trail near Suches, Georgia. This short, very friendly trail is a must-do for anyone in the area looking for a nice view of the river. Ready to get started?
I'm ready.
So here's the Toccoa Swinging Bridge Trail by the numbers. The distance is 0.8 miles there and back. Now, the time it took us was 43 minutes, but only 21 minutes of that was actual moving time. We spent 22 minutes, more than the time it spent us to get there, just enjoying the place.
Yeah.
Which we're going to talk about in detail. The lowest point was 1,891 feet. The highest point was 2,039 feet, which is only 118 feet of elevation change. Now, the trail friendliness, pets are allowed, and it is very accessible. I would almost say you could probably get, if you worked a little at it, you could probably get a wheelchair on that trail, but certainly a little hover round would get through there.
Okay, I'm going to qualify what you just said by saying that driving to the trailhead, I wouldn't want to do this in any kind of a lowrider car or anything that, I was glad that we had the Jeep with the way that the road was.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I'm glad you brought it up. So first things first, to get there, search for Swinging Bridge on the Toccoa River on your map app. That will get you to the parking area. The road that you take to get up there is very challenging.
Very challenging.
It's narrow, steep, twisty-turny with lots of bumps, rocks, divots,
yeah,
holes.
And if
it's an all gravel road.
Yes. Oh, gravel is generous. I would say there are rocks.
Yeah.
When you say rocks and roots on a trail, there's rocks on these roads.
There's full-blown rocks that are pretty high, 3, 4, maybe even 6 inches coming out. So we took this from the highway. It was only 3 miles to the top, but it took us
a good long
25 minutes to drive that 3 miles. And we have a Jeep Patriot. And there were times going up, that the Jeep did great, but you gasped a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Going up.
Yes.
Because it's so bumpy.
I was very tense.
It's so narrow.
And we were driving up and I was thinking, okay, so I'm going to put checking the tires and making sure that we have good tires for this kind of thing. When we get home, I'm going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was the most hold my breath, nerve-wracking, going up to the trailhead kind of experience. And if a vehicle is coming towards you, you have to try and find a way to get off the road, and they have to try and find a way to get off the road.
And thankfully, we didn't run into that on the way up, but we did several times on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why going up these or down these roads very, very slowly is the way to do it. And always keep an eye out for any area where you can make room.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm driving up or down, I'm always looking, okay, that's a spot I can kind of pull off to let somebody by.
Right.
Or that's a spot, so that if I do see a car coming, I know I can either go up to a spot or maybe back down a little to a spot.
Yes.
But there's no way you're getting 2 cars side by side throughout the whole ride.
Yeah.
So you do have to pull over. Or they have to pull over to let you guys through. Yeah.
And it's a mountain. And so it's up on one side and down on the other. And you don't want to be rolling off the side. And when we were coming back down, there was a truck that was full of teenagers. And some of the teenagers were just sitting in the back of the truck with their legs dangling off out of the back of the truck. And I was like, oh my goodness, one of these bumps. And
one of them could throw them off.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Ooh. And there's some full-on potholes in the road. Yeah.
That was, I felt taking your life into your hands a little bit much.
Once you get to the top, the parking area is not very well defined at all. It's kind of just find a space where you can.
So I will say this too. The GPS told us that where we should stop and park, first of all, there was no place to stop and park, so we just kept on going. You get to the top of the mountain, and then you start going back down the other side a little bit before you get to the trailhead. So we got to the peak and then went over the peak. I felt us going back down.
There is a sign coming off the highway that says Toccoa River Swinging Bridge this way. And once you turn on that, there's no turnoff. Like it is a one-way road. There's no
one lane road anyway.
Yeah, one lane. There's nowhere to go. There's like no roads coming off of it. You drive up this road until you get to where you stop.
Yeah.
And so the stopping part is the parking area. And I say that generously. It's really just...
It's a clearing. It's a clearing.
It's a small clearing that is not exactly a well-defined circle or square. It kind of is just you park where you can.
I will say that when we got to the top, there was one other car that was just parking when we got there. And there was a deer up there waiting for us.
I have that in my notes. As soon as we parked, there was this it was big, probably 5 feet tall at the head. A female.
Yeah.
And she was beautiful and curious. Yeah. Just walked in the parking area. Was not afraid of us.
Not afraid. Yeah.
No.
She walked right behind the Jeep.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was beautiful deer. And it stuck around. You got plenty of pictures of it.
Yeah, I didn't want to spook her or anything because I wanted her to stick around. So I didn't get too close to her. But yeah, she was beautiful.
And curious. Just kept an eye on us and watching us. I mean, it easily could have ran away.
Yeah.
At any moment. But it stuck around and watched. Yeah. So that was nice.
That was a highlight.
So the trail, like I said, is very friendly. Mm-hmm. There are a few areas of rocks and roots, but the only part where a wheelchair I don't think could get is actually getting up to the platform where the wooden bridge starts, where the swinging bridge starts.
Oh, yeah, and you couldn't get across that swinging bridge, I don't think, because it's pretty narrow.
If it's a narrow one, maybe, but yeah, it's narrow.
Yeah.
It's narrow.
I remember I was concerned. There was this other couple that had gone ahead, they had gone across the bridge and then they were coming back by the time we were getting ready to go across the bridge. And I said, no, I'm going to wait until they finish going across the bridge before I get on it to go across the first time because I didn't want to be passing them. You could pass, but you'd probably be touching as you pass. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty narrow. So we waited. And I think that's what most people do. Most people wait for...
It's a swinging bridge, so there's that.
And it moves. It's kind of weird. Like, the first quarter of it moves a lot more than the middle section does. The middle section, I don't think, moved very much at all, but the first quarter was rolling all around.
Yeah. I don't
And the same on the other side.
The bridge was built in 1977.
1977, yep.
So...
And it's in great shape.
Yeah.
It's in great shape. Yeah. And so that's the terminus of this trail, right? Is the swinging bridge. And it takes you over the Toccoa River and you get an amazing view of both sides of the Toccoa River.
Right.
It's simply gorgeous.
You were regretting the fact that you hadn't worn your water shoes because there were places to put your feet in the water.
Exactly. Right before the swinging bridge starts, there are at least 2 on the side that we were on, and we saw more on the other side of the river.
Yes, there was almost like a beach-like area.
Almost like a beach, where it was clear on one of the sites, it was clear somebody had set up some kind of camp, because there was a fire.
Like a fire pit area.
Yeah, there was rocks down and some charred wood, so it was clear somebody had a fire there at some point.
Or maybe multiple, maybe that's something that people use
maybe
for like little bonfire.
Yeah, but that area... That little clearing was plenty big enough for a tent.
Yeah.
And I could easily see 2 or 3 tents in different areas on the side we were on, and then 2 or 3 more on the other side. So I could totally see primitive camping there, right there on the river. Like, you can step into the water there.
Right.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to bring plenty of thermocell equipment because...
The bugs were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I as beautiful as it was, I was so glad I had my thermocells.
Yeah. We get more use out of that than anything, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
It saves me from my panic attacks when bugs start buzzing in my ear.
The beaches were really nice, and I did wish I had worn my hiking shoes or my water sandals. But there was no part of the trail where I got out of breath or even broke a sweat. This is probably a piece of cake hike.
Okay, so the place that I broke a sweat was driving up to the trailhead.
Driving up there. Yeah, I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't take a small car. We did see cars.
Yes, there was a Tesla, I think, up there. Yeah, the kind of low to the ground, and I was like, really? That is
I would
ballsy.
so be worried about rocks scraping the undercarriage.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess, you buy something to be used and then you use it.
I mean, Teslas, just by electric vehicles, have power just by their nature. But yeah, it's low. I'd be worried about it scraping. But yeah, I like this trail. I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
And I would 100% recommend this to literally anybody.
Yeah, as scary as the drive was up there, I would want to do it again.
Oh yeah, next time we're down there.
The hardest part about the trail was the drive up there.
Yeah, the trail, and it's beautiful because you can hear the river the entire way that you're hiking the trail.
Yeah.
And it is simply gorgeous and so well worth the minimal effort that it takes to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're definitely going to take my mom when she comes up.
She would love it.
The next time. Yeah, well, yeah, she's going to love it. And just walking over the bridge and hearing the river just blow by you below. And it was moving pretty good yesterday. It's just beautiful. It was a beautiful day for it.
Well, we might have to blindfold your mom and me or something to get us up that, like how you have to put like blinders on a horse when you're walking him through fire. Yeah.
To get
up to the trailhead.
I don't know. I didn't. It was challenging, but I didn't.
You
feel
had
like
a steering wheel to white knuckle grip. I didn't have anything to white knuckle grip. Yeah. I actually did hold on to the handle above the door.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I was trying to be as
You were being careful. You were going slow, but it was.
It's still sketch. It's still sketch. No matter how.
I wonder if there's times when that road is better, and times when so. We have had some rain, and so if dirt gets washed away and then the rocks are a little bit more prominent, then that road might be more treacherous. And
maybe if it's muddy, yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know. It was fine. The Jeep did great, but yeah, it was definitely not like you're not driving in your neighborhood. This is not an easy drive. If you've never driven in the mountains, don't do this. Don't let this be the first time you drive in the mountains. It's because
it'll scare you.
You're not going to do great. Yeah. So I definitely recommend this. This is one of those short, fast, huge payoff.
Yeah.
Hikes
I would agree.
That we do. So that's the trail this week, guys. Toccoa Swinging Bridge Trail in Suches, Georgia. It's a great short hike, less than a mile there and back. The sketchiest part is driving up to the parking area.
Is it Suches, Georgia, or Suches?
I don't know. I think I've said it both ways.
Okay.
So one of them's right.
We could be wrong on both
counts. I don't think so. I don't think that's possible. It's 50-50.
Okay.
So I got it right at one point.
All right.
Short hike with the swinging bridge being the payoff, and it's well worth it.
Yeah.
Looking over the Toccoa River that's moving. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Simple, easy to do, 30 minutes max.
Beautiful part of the Toccoa River too.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Plus, plenty of areas where you can get down and get in the river if you wanted to get in. And that river is pretty deep. So if you wanted to swim, you could swim.
I don't know. Would it take you?
It would move you because it was moving pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some rapids on that river.
Yeah.
So if you do go and get in the water, use caution.
Right.
Be very careful.
Yeah.
Because you'll be bounced around those rocks and get hurt really bad.
Or move down the river and have to hike back to
Have to hike back. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to us in whatever podcast app you use, and be sure to leave us a review on the Apple podcast.
Yeah, leave us a review anywhere, but especially Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, because that's how our show grows. Feel free to check out our trail photos at casualclimbers.com. And if you have a question, comment, or just want to drop us a line, you can reach us at casualclimberspodcast@gmail.com.
So, Donna, that swinging bridge was great.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one we're going to take our moms to, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that somebody could be pushed over it into the river?
No. Roy, no. Why? Why are you asking me this?
I'm not going to push anybody over. I'm concerned that one of these times you're going to push me over.
No, it's way too much effort, and you're usually carrying the car keys, the Jeep keys.
That's true. I am.
Although I do have a set of backup keys.
I'm going to have to find those and lose them so that you can't. I mean, you could just take them out of my pocket and then push me over. I'm fairly gullible.
Honestly, I could just ask you to hand them to me and then push you over.
That's true.
Yeah.
You could probably ask me to jump and I would do it.
I'm not going to do that, Roy, because you probably would do it.
I would do it.
Yeah, don't do that.
I think I could survive.
It's not worth it.
Okay. Don't jump off the Toccoa Swinging Bridge.
No.
And Sasquatch, if you're listening, shout out.